sexual exploitation happens across the world. Okay, let's get this straight. The worst statistically every single year is South Africa.
Uh-huh.
The second, almost second, third, fourth, alternates between second, third, and fourth every year is, surprise, surprise, Sweden. Okay, now, South Africa, we need to understand what the criteria for rape is. Unless it is rape is so systematic and common out there that unless it is violent rape in which you have suffered physical injury, it doesn't even make the official statistic.
So it's the definition that
Right.
varies.
In Sweden, you know what Julian Assange was convicted for rape for? That he had consent. She told him to use a condom, but he did not wear a condom, but he still had consent, but it counts as rape in Sweden. Okay. Now, now when you have different statistics like this, the comparison becomes impossible to do. In India, the thing is, ever since social media, at least the reportage of rape has gone up, and it'll probably be somewhat higher than we see right now because, in pre-industrial societies with bad policing leads to a culture of impunity, which would lead to high sexual crimes.
Look at the shit
there's
that came
there's
out
no
in Me Too
there's
last two,
no
3 years.
pointless it's pointless denying that it would probably be higher than the official statistics being,
Oh, way
wait
higher.
don't interrupt, higher than the official statistics being reported by India right now. Okay, now all of this still doesn't explain systematic cartelized group behavior with complete collaboration and cooperation from the police, from social workers, from the entire system out there, an absolute denial right up to parliament of an inquiry into it, saying that one affected part, Telford, conducted an inquiry, therefore there must be no inquiry all over. And when one inquiry was ordered, its terms of reference were so ludicrous. And terms of reference will either make or sink an inquiry. There is stuff going on in Rochdale. You won't focus on Rochdale. You'll say, let's look at child abuse in general. All the terms will be watered down, and this will be 1 out of 100th of 100 different parts of child abuse. Today, in fact, I've tweeted out this thing. It innocuously, there's a video. I want you to.
Well, that's the story. That's the story that
DM it to me on Twitter.
Yeah, that's the story of Canada, India foreign interference. There was an inquiry needed on Chinese foreign interference in Canada. So immediately they overbroadened it to everything, and then they added in India. Then they counted the Khalistan stuff as India, and then and then you overbroadening it, then you drowned out the actual important thing. Is we want to find out the 11 MPs that are connected to the Chinese party in our system, but then they overbroadened it to say that we're going to fight foreign interference by anyone tweeting in India, and that's again that's how you again you can tell if an inquiry is going to be successful by you can tell if an inquiry is going to be successful before it starts by what they're looking for, because if they're like we're looking for we're looking for all the different types of crime in the world to find out how much crime there's. It's like, no, we need to find out murders. Like,
you want me to play that clip?
Play
right?
that clip,
Okay.
and you'll see
Just
how
give me a moment.
this is how what this guy is saying is exactly how inquiry committees are watered down.
Got it. Just give me a moment. Okay, let's put it on full screen layout, and let's play it now.
There should be a specific inquiry into Pakistani grooming gangs across the UK.
I think there should be a specific inquiry into all grooming gangs.
Absolutely.
Pakistani grooming gangs comprise a very small amount of the grooming gangs and child.
Towns up and down.
Yes, most child sex abuse is sadly by men who are white and within families. That's the sad reality. But we need an investigation into the grooming gangs, absolutely. But what distresses me is that Professor Alexis Jay did a 7-year inquiry, 7 years, and she did look at grooming gangs, among other issues, and she came up with some fantastic recommendations, none of which were acted upon by the Conservative government. The number one issue has got to be that it's a criminal offence for a professional as a teacher or a social worker to fail to identify and report abuse.
Are you not concerned when you see the scale of the problem when it comes to what is specifically going on in the Pakistani communities around the north of England? Are you
Well,
not?
so
You're not.
I-
You're not over. You know
Yeah.
there's a pattern there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely concerned about it, but I want to caveat this is not, we should in no way blanket brand the whole Pakistani community. It's a tiny, unrepresented minority who are condemned by other Pakistani people. And we should focus on the other grooming gangs who are,
Well, hang on a minute. They're not condemned loudly by other Pakistani Muslims, though. There's been a deafening silence within Pakistani Muslim communities on this issue. Let's be honest. And what you're doing, Peter, is quite disingenuous because you're adapting the definition of the rape gangs. If you look at organised gang-based child sexual exploitation, Pakistani Muslims are significantly more likely to engage in that practice than any other group. So it's not the case, as you say, that well actually we should look at white people rather than Pakistani Muslims.
No, not rather, as well as.
But I think this is such a problem within this particular community. We need a specific inquiry.
Matt, yes, shall I?
But the problem we've got here, though, is that, yes, I completely agree. The former inquiry did not cover what it should have covered. It whitewashed some areas, and it was much broader. But many people, including yourself, are saying if only we implemented this recommendation, mandatory reporting of sexual abuse of children. The problem is social workers, police, teachers, others knew that children as young as 12 and 13 were having sex with adult men. They didn't see it as abuse because we now have this culture that as long as you say you consent, that's fine. And unless we change that, unless we actually have an age of consent again, even if we did implement that recommendation, it would be meaningless. Because as long as you say, this child says, I want to have sex, I want to be in this relationship, fine, then it's not abuse. That's the culture we've got to change.
This is really disturbing.
Right. It is so, imagine he is asked about it and he completely deflects from it, saying it's a small portion of abuse, and abuse is everything from mental trauma caused to a child because of the teacher yelling at them. He is equating a girl being raped 24 times and her genitals being burnt to the trauma a kid suffers from being yelled at.
I think
This is what you're seeing in Britain.
And it's a massive Western problem, and Britain's probably the worst, and I think because of the stuff. But when one person commits a heinous crime, or serial killers are incredibly rare, right? But couple serial killers are super incredibly rare to when people conglomerate it. But when you get crimes consistently, when there's groups of it, either you have a small criminal, you're planning a heist, whatever. But when you get these type of things, it's a societal-wide issue. So the most famous one is Laura Logan in Egypt, if you remember that during the Arab Spring.
Yeah.
And then the second most, so this, I can't remember, perhaps you might know the name, but it's a whole thing. That's a name where in the Arab world, where men and whole crowds will start to surround a woman, and then on the inside, they grab her and sexually assault her, and then there's a whole crowd of dozens or hundreds on the outside, sort of forming a protective ring, so no one can get in to save her. And this was also, I remember this quite starkly, 2015 or 2016, New Year's, Cologne, Germany, these sort of mass gang rapes, because you heard them, and this is back when rape culture was a big word. If you remember, a lot of this, the prelude to Me Too was rape culture, right? The West has a rape culture, and I could tell you this because when I was at orientation week at Queen's University, and this would have been let's say 2009 or 10, I remember they had the RA come talk to us, and they did the thing of basically look to your left, look to your right, one of those women will be raped. And you're what the fuck? Yeah, they're sexual assault, 1 in 3 women. They just wanted to pretend that college kids are young white frat boys are just raping everyone up there, and it's a huge problem. And the real thing was what do you classify as sexual assault? It was if you got a comment that made you feel uncomfortable by a man some point at university, that counted in these rape statistics. But it's all absurd. But we were going on rape culture. And then the West saw these coordinated gang mass rapes of dozens and hundreds of men prowling and like surrounding German women on New Year's and like using like fireworks, like actually like group hunting predator tactics, like a school of dolphins, like herding fish, right, into a certain way where like they're using fireworks and surrounding them and like raping them on the inside. And then this whole thing happened. Then all of a sudden, the people who are screaming about rape culture, all of a sudden, this wasn't rape culture and we got to be sensitive. And I think that was one of the things that like, really like led to the rise of like Trumpism in a way, where you saw like this complete failure of feminist wokeism, you could call it. And that's where rape culture died. Then it was reborn a few years later as Me Too. But I remember when rape culture died in Germany, the Cologne stuff, whereas like
it didn't die in Germany, by the way. Germany is a scandal waiting to explode.
I just mean the term rape. I mean, like accusing the phrase rape. We have a rape culture because that was thrown at them, so that died, and then it was.
Especially now because Scholz and the left are in power out there, it will be crushed down very. This is why Germany is getting so antsy about this British talk on rape, because they know the moment this conversation starts in Germany, the whole edifice will crumble like a pack of cards.